Take a look at our radar. Skies are dry across Georgia and South Carolina. Forecast tonight at 7 o'clock. Partly cloudy, dry, and 52. Winds will become a few clouds and a few sprinkles tomorrow. Forecast coming up next.
We may wear a different uniform, but in the end, we're all still family. We all still support each other in good times and bad, and especially in the worst of times.
Right now on News Channel 6 at 5, saying goodbye to a fallen investigator.
We'll hear from law enforcement, city leaders, and community members.
Live from Television Park, this is WJBF News Channel 6 at 5.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brad Means.
And I'm Dee Griffin. Thanks so much for joining us.
Coverage you can count on begins now with this community and so many others outside of it coming together to mourn the death of Cecil Ridley.
He was shot and killed 1 week ago. It happened during an investigation at an Augusta convenience store. The veteran law enforcement officer was 51 years old. Sheriff Richard Roundtree said investigator Ridley was conducting a specialized operation when he was shot. The Army veteran was a husband, father of 6, and a grandfather.
Served with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office for 17 years. Ridley's funeral was held today at Warren Baptist Church in Augusta. News Channel 6's Renetta Dubose live in our newsroom now.
Brad, D, a huge outpouring of support from the community as family, friends, and law enforcement surrounded Warren Baptist Church and packed inside to pay respects. It was not hard to see that investigator Cecil Ridley touched a lot of lives between his military work, sheriff's office time, as well as leaving footprints on the hearts of so many others. Row by row, deputies and officers joined Sheriff Richard Roundtree outside the church. They all walked in one by one for an hour-long service. Community supporters stood alongside too.
It shows that they all care. We all care, and we're here to support just one another. You know, I pray that we grow stronger. This is just a hurdle, but we are overcomers, and we can get over this.
Yes, indeed. Now, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard served as pallbearers, and the members of the Narcotics Division and Marshal's Office were there as honorary pallbearers. The moment was a somber reminder of how we take for granted often our safety and those who look out for us, Dee.
All right, Renata, thanks a lot. The route from Warren Baptist to Bellevue Cemetery in Grovetown is about 8.5 miles long. The line of support for investigator Ridley ran that entire length of the way.
Yeah, people just standing on the side of the road to show their support, take time out of their day, and then after the procession, a large turnout for the burial this afternoon.
And News Channel 6's Ashley Flette is outside the gates of Bellevue Cemetery now. Ashley.
That's right, Brad and Dee. It was a sight to see, most definitely. Moments before the procession arrived, both sides of the streets were filled with people who wanted to pay their respect to Officer Ridley. Even people who did not know investigator Ridley say this hits close to home. I spoke to one woman who says this changes everything for her when she thinks about her friends who put their uniform on and risk their lives every day.
I have a lot of friends that are police officers, and it puts a new perspective on things for you when you're personally involved with them, you know, so it makes you think about them every day more often and worry about them more often.
And Officer Ridley was given a 21 gun and an end of watch symbol at the end of the ceremony. We'll have more. Back to you guys, Brad.
All right, thanks a lot, Ashley Flette. We appreciate that. You know, a lot of businesses lined that processional route, and they were there to show their support as well. For that, we go to News Channel 6's Ashley Osborne. She's live on Washington Road. Ashley?
Yeah, Brad, for many, work was put on hold. The phones put down, computers turned off. They stepped away from their desks to line Washington Road as a stream of flashing lights escorted the fallen investigator from the church to the burial grounds. The procession passed hundreds of businesses along the way.
Oh, it's gonna be a tough day.
It was a tough day, even for some of the men and women who work along the funeral procession route for investigator Cecil Ridley. We were here as employees of Milton Rubin put flags in the grass that lines Washington Road. One of these men told me today was emotional for him because he knew investigator Ridley. Milton Rubin, not the only ones with flags out front. Jim Hudson Lexus had some. State Farm agent Corbin Jones's flags were accompanied by this wreath with blue ribbons. We talked to the general manager at Miracle Nissan about why they set out flags.
To show support, we wanted to place flags outside in honor of our first responders. It was very important to us here at Miracle Nissan. We respect first responders on a daily basis for all that they do, and we wanted to really show our support.
And over here at Master Buick GMC, their large flag lowered to half staff.
We just chose to do it out of respect for the slain officer.
When people drive by and they see that flag at half mast, what do you hope they think?
I hope they feel sympathy for the officer's family that was slain.
Yeah.
That's what I hope.
And when the time came for the funeral procession, these businessmen and women took a break from their work to stand along Washington Road. Drivers traveling in the opposite direction across the median on Riverwatch Parkway parked their cars and got out to do the same, to stand for fallen investigator Cecil Ridley. I counted at least 40 different law enforcement agencies in marked cars from across the state. That doesn't even include the unmarked cars with flashing lights. At least 4 different ambulance companies, more than 10 towing and paint and body shop cars with flashing lights joined that procession. And Dee, I wasn't even watching the entire time because some of the time I was recording video or working our equipment, so there were dozens more agencies a part of this procession than even the ones I counted.
That's right, they came from near and far to support their fallen brother in blue. Well, hundreds and hundreds of people lined the route taken by Ridley's funeral procession, including senior reporter George Escala. George, an army of law enforcement turning out to honor the fallen deputy.
That law enforcement motorcade was truly awe-inspiring, and here along the procession route, things were quiet, somber, and solemn. One of the hundreds turning out was Christina Faust. She was watching the entire miles-long motorcade holding a large, thin blue line flag. Now, of course, that flag symbolizing support for law enforcement. I asked her why she was roadside. She said her answer was simple.
My fiance is a law enforcement officer, and he's in Harlem. He used to work in Richmond County in narcotics with Cecil, so so it means a lot, I think, to him, and everything for me to be out here.
Now, Sheriff Richard Roundtree, of course, taking part in this procession, and Christina got a big thumbs up from his vehicle when it passed when she saw Christina holding that sign. In Columbia County, George Escala, back to you.
Well, we know about the strong local support, but as you heard Ashley Osborne mention, there was a large police presence from all over the country today.
News Channel 6's Jenna Kelly has that part of the story.
You can see the motorcade behind me. There's agencies from Texas all the way to New York that came here to pay their respects to investigator Cecil Ridley. They call themselves the Brotherhood of the Fallen.
Even though he worked for another agency, he's still part of our family, and we still go to show support to the law enforcement agency that lost the officer and to the officer's family.
I dropped everything. I actually left my family and my kids behind in order to do this event.
Officers locally and from all over the country lined the courtyard in honor of the fallen brother in blue.
I enjoy coming here to help out, to be there for the family, and especially our local brothers and sisters, to give them some kind of support that you're not alone.
Alone was the last thing that could have been displayed at the ceremony, with agencies from DeKalb County all the way to Suffolk County in New York. Chapters from the Brotherhood for the Fallen were there to help.
There's 4 of us, 2 from the ceremony unit and 2 from the department itself. Me and my partner, we actually helped run the funeral, and the other 2 officers are from the Brotherhood, and I believe they offer the family some kind of funds to help with the burials and other expenses.
It is me, and then I have 4 units from the motor unit that will ride in the escort with the other motors to the funeral site.
Texas, Chicago, New York, South Carolina. No matter the division of state lines, their representation from across the country at investigator Cecil Ridley's funeral means the world.
To make it simple, we are just here to support our brothers and sisters throughout the states and countries It's a tragic event, but we're just here to help with the burden.
NYPD ceremonial unit tells me that JetBlue fully funds their trips in times of need. They say that after this ceremony, they'll be going home to their own families. In Augusta, Jenna Kelly, WJBF News Channel 6.
Next year, investigator Ridley will be honored and recognized in the nation's capital during National Police Week. His name will be etched in the memorial wall in Washington, D.C. in May. The idea for the wall was started by former U.S. President John F. Kennedy. Already 110 officers have died on the job this year.
And there are 2 suspects charged in the death of investigator Cecil Ridley. They are 18-year-old Deonquez Reed, accused of tampering with evidence, and Alvin Hester Jr., facing murder charges. They went before a judge yesterday for their first court appearance in this case. You can see the officers in just a moment wheeling Hester into the courtroom. 2 deputies shot him the night of Ridley's death. We have much more coverage on the death of investigator Cecil Ridley on News Channel 6 at 6 and 7.
Our coverage also continues online at WJBF.com.
We'll be right back.